The Dallas Cowboys have finally signed Anthony Barr. What kind of impact can he have this year? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cowboys.
Welcome back to a special episode of the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. He is Landon McCool. Follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. We also have a special guest today from Locked On Vikings. It is Luke Braun. Follow him on Twitter at LukeBraunNFL. Landon, let's start with you. The Cowboys finally signed Anthony Barr. What does this mean for their defense?
It means that they finally have another veteran linebacker on the team outside of Leighton Vander Esch and Micah Parsons to kind of rotate in. I think, we talked about it before when we first brought this up, that we thought that he could be an interesting kind of guy to play off of Micah Parsons, right? To kind of be the kind of opposite end of whatever Micah's doing. If Micah's rushing the passer, then we keep Barr back, then vice versa. I think their skill sets, maybe not their current skills at Barr at his advanced age, are similar, and where they can play are kind of similar. So I think that they will be kind of an interesting matchup, and especially as Quinn likes to use a bunch of different formations. I think this will just help him open up things a little bit more, more 3-3 looks, 2 down linemen, multiple linebackers. I just think it's going to give them a lot more options and formational looks and everything. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Luke, my question for you. Is Anthony Barr washed? Like, is this one of these signings that happens in training camp every year that we get excited about and he's just a bust?
I mean, don't expect him to be like the superstar he was 5 years ago. This is you got a veteran you paid for it. You have what, 1 year, $3 million? You're paying for what's
up to $3 million.
Up to 3. Yeah, you're paying for what he is now. He had a maybe like degenerative knee tendonitis last year and dealt with it all year. And I don't know if that's something that just goes away. So yeah, there's definitely problems with his athleticism now. He's not the rangy guy he used to be. He used to be somebody that could cover sideline to sideline, and chase down Alvin Kamara in the flat and take him out of the game. That's what he used to be. He is not that guy anymore. What he still is, still a savvy pass rusher. He was never like a pass rusher like Micah Parsons is that can beat a tackle. He was a guy that could destroy tight ends and running backs. And so the way Mike Zimmer always used him, and I think you'll probably see some similar stuff in Dallas with this, he would just slam the dude into somebody's guard and he would never get his sack total is way lower than you think for his reputation. But he would just send him in and you would have to put a guard on him because if you put a running back on him, you'd get blown up. So you put a guard on him and suddenly you would essentially threaten Anthony Barr and it would force a 5-0 protection, a man-on-man, everybody. And that was so valuable to Zimmer's defense. If you can force a 5-0 protection, you could do some stunt or some loop or something that takes advantage of the weaknesses of man-to-man blocking. That's what Anthony Barr was. I still think he can be that. He can still be a spot drop, do your classic linebacker coverage, responsibilities, but don't ask him to go from hash to sideline anymore. That's not really who he is anymore, but he's very smart. He's very savvy. He knows what gaps to shoot and not to shoot it. He's got a great sense for spacing, still a good tackler and all that stuff, but you're getting an old, smart, long in the tooth, graybeard linebacker, and it seems like that's about what you paid for.
He's more of a blitzer than a rusher, right? And I feel like those are two completely different things.
He's not an edge rusher. A lot of people wanted him to be an edge rusher. He almost signed with the Jets a few years ago. They were going to make him a true blue, hand-in-the-dirt edge rusher. That would have been a catastrophe. He is an off-ball linebacker that you want to be involved in your blitz packages.
Marinelli wanted to make him a full-time pass rusher. And I think one thing that you brought up Zimmer, I think one thing that's going to be really interesting is I wouldn't be surprised if they did some of that class more, and they did a lot of it last year. Of more of that kind of double A gap blitz sort of stuff that Zimmer's very famous for doing lots of. Quinn loves to force those 5-0 looks.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Zimmer end up in Dallas at some point this season.
Whoa, that's an
That
I
might
don't
have
know.
to be a
Tidbit.
different show, right? We know
Idle
that
speculation, but
the front office does like Mike Zimmer a lot, so that
you
would
got
be
George
fun.
Edwards in there, although I don't know if those
All right.
things between those two ended on the best terms.
Well,
so
we also have Jaron Curse on a multi-year deal, so that might not
Oh.
happen.
Never mind. Nope. Never mind. It's not happening.
I want to talk a little bit more about Anthony Barr and his fit in Dan Quinn's defense. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about BetterHelp. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is full of twists and turns, and it's important to show up for yourself through it all. BetterHelp is there for you when you need it. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You can schedule a weekly video or phone session so you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. And getting therapy every week is as easy as a few clicks on your laptop or phone. Visit their website and read their testimonials that are posted daily. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. They've also got financial aid available. It's more affordable than a traditional offline therapy. It's really the absolute best. So our listeners have a special deal going on right now. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/lockedon. All right, Luke, at this stage in Anthony Barr's career, I don't think he's a full-time player, but do you think 25, 30 snaps a game for him is pretty realistic?
Yeah, I think that's conservative. You could probably push it a little more than that, but no, you're not going to have every down. I don't think you're going to need him every down. This is somebody who I think comes on for particular sub packages when you want a little more size. But yeah, I don't think you don't want to run his knee into the ground.
Yeah.
The prevailing theory right now is his rookie year, he had a meniscus issue. And he got I forget the names for it, but the lesser version
trim?
of
He got the trim, right? Yeah.
The trim that can have problems down the road. Here we are down the road,
Yep.
Versus like getting the full on fix, the repair. So yeah, that's what my prevailing theory is. We'll probably never know for sure. That's not the kind of thing that gets out in the public,
Yep.
but just got to be careful on that knee and don't ask too much of him. But I think, yeah, 25, 30, you could probably get away with that.
Landon, what does it mean for the rest of the defense now? Because suddenly Cowboys have some depth at linebacker, right? If you consider Micah Parsons guy's going to play 50-50 snaps on the edge at linebacker, you've got Jabril Cox coming back. Leighton Vander Esch is having a strong camp. How do you feel about the linebacker group overall?
I feel good. And actually, I thought that the interesting thing that I wanted to kind of see come out was the money, because this is kind of the range I was hoping for, because to me, this does indicate that he doesn't necessarily need to be pushed into the starter role, or they're not necessarily looking at him as the guy that is, the other opposite linebacker every time the Parsons goes out if there's a two linebacker situation. But you have to remember that there's still a lot of people that play at the second level that aren't linebackers on this team. So it's an interesting mixture of players that you have now. I mean, everything from the Marquise Bell playing the linebacker role kind of as a safety to now Anthony Barr, who is almost defensive end size. So I think that is going to allow them to just kind of, like I said, play multiple formations, be game plan specific against certain offenses, and just deploy these guys as needed, that can play to their skill set better than just trying to find a collection of well-rounded linebackers.
Last thing before we head out, Luke, the Cowboys and Vikings do play each other this year, November 20th. It's at Minnesota. Revenge game? I don't know if that's possible.
The Barr revenge game.
There are two kinds of return to your old team. There's the bitter revenge game, the J-Ron curse vibe. And I think this one's going to have the other vibe. I think you're going to see some jersey swaps and stuff.
Yeah.
Barr and Eric Kendricks were college roommates at UCLA. They came up together. They were best friends here. They're like an inseparable duo of very, very good friends. So I think they're going to be very excited to see each other on the sideline, and you're going to get some pretty good photo ops.
Yeah, I was more teasing, but actually, my last question for you.
Well, Jaron Curse hates the Vikings, so that's
he does.
Yeah,
Jaron Curse,
that is true.
He does not. He does not like the. Well, I don't know if he hates the Vikings. He hates Mike Zimmer. Let's just be clear about that.
He might not. Well, there might be. I won't.
There's more there.
Yes.
We might have a whole separate podcast about that, Luke, sometime.
Luke, last one. Should Cowboy fans just be excited about this deal? 1 year, $3 million. I know that some people are going to be way too far off the deep end on this one, but overall, how should fans feel?
The Vikings spent more on Jesse Davis this offseason. It's fine. Like, if this goes terribly wrong and he's like not a good player, like whatever, it's a $2 million up to $3 million deal. Like, that's fine. That's why. And I don't get your hopes up that he's going to be the superstar that he always has been, but he's still got some gas in the tank, and he can be a crafty veteran that you can get something out of. Be as excited as you want to get about a role-playing linebacker that knows what he's looking at. It's good.
There you go. I mean, frankly, it's exactly what the Cowboys needed for that kind of third linebacker on the team. So fills a need. It happens to be a player with some big-time pedigree and big-time draft position that the Cowboys liked all the way back in 2014. We'll see. That is it for today's show. Thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen today. Now make your second listen to Locked On NFL podcast. Our national NFL experts and insiders keep fans dialed in with the biggest stories and the latest news from around the league, because an offseason doesn't equal a break in the action. We want to thank Luke from Locked On Vikings for joining the show. Make sure you go and check out the Locked On Vikings show, because it's one of the absolute best shows on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can follow Landon, who is at Cowboys Camp out in Oxnard, at McCool BCB. I'm at Marcus _Mosher. We'll see you guys next time.